Welcome to more tales.
Am I the a-hole for refusing to care for my wife after she caught the flu from her affair partner? This is partially a rant, and partially an actual question. I, 54M, have been married to my wife, Victoria, 54F, for over 32 years. We have built an entire life together, raised 3 adult daughters and 1 adult son, bought a home, and shared decades of memories. Or at least, that's what I thought we were doing. Early this year, Victoria started going through menopause. It was a really tough transition for her, both physically and emotionally. I loved her deeply, so I stepped up to support her through every bit of it. I listened to her vent, I rubbed her back, and I tried to be the most patient, understanding husband I could possibly be. During this period, she completely pulled away from any physical intimacy. She constantly broke down, telling me she felt fat, ugly, and undesirable. Every single time she said that, my heart broke for her. I held her hands, looked her in the eyes, and reassured her that she was still the most beautiful woman in the world to me. She told me she just couldn't handle having physical intimacy, and I respected that completely. I put my own needs on the back burner for months without a single complaint because I believed marriage meant standing by your partner through thick and thin. It was only starting this month that she suddenly seemed to flip a switch. She came to me out of nowhere and said she wanted us to start doing the horizontal tango again. I was ecstatic. I truly thought we were turning a corner, that her confidence was returning, and that our marriage was healing. Then, reality hit me in the absolute worst way. I was cleaning up our bedroom when I caught a glimpse of something under the edge of the nightstand. I reached down, expecting a rogue piece of trash, and pulled out an empty condom wrapper. My chest went entirely cold. We haven't used protection in decades. I stood there holding that tiny piece of plastic, my hands trembling, feeling like the floor was falling out from under me. Shortly after that discovery, I had to leave town for a scheduled business trip. The knot in my stomach was so tight I could barely breathe the entire drive. Stuck in a hotel room hundreds of miles away, I couldn't stop the sickening thoughts racing through my mind. In a moment of absolute desperation, I logged onto my laptop and tried to gain access to her social media accounts. After guessing a few obvious combinations, I tried a family member's birthday as the password, and it logged right in. My heart hammered against my ribs as I opened her inbox. What I found ripped my world completely apart. Her affair partner was Zachary, 35M, a family friend who is married to his own wife, 29F. Zachary is a guy we've known for years, someone who has sat at our dinner table. I spent hours sitting in the dim hotel room light, scrolling endlessly through months of horrific betrayal. There were hundreds of messages detailing their secret meetings, pictures, and explicit conversations. Then I read a message from just a few days prior. Zachary had messaged Victoria asking if it was still okay to come over for their fun time, but added a warning that he felt like he was coming down with something. Victoria had replied telling him to come over anyway. Even after I finished my work assignments and got back into town, I couldn't stop checking the account. A fresh message popped up from Zachary. He wrote that he and his wife were both bedridden with a severe case of the flu, so he wouldn't be able to see Victoria for a while. Victoria's reply to him made me feel physically sick to my stomach. She wrote back telling him that getting the flu was totally worth it just to spend that time together. When I finally walked through the front door of our house, I found Victoria curled up under a mountain of blankets on the couch, shivering, coughing, and looking utterly miserable. She had caught the flu from him. The anger inside me surged. I didn't yell or scream, I just looked down at her and flatly told her that I knew everything. I named Zachary. I mentioned the messages. I brought up the flu. The color completely drained from her face. She looked at me in sheer terror and started stammering out excuses, but she was far too weak and exhausted from the virus to physically stop me as I walked into our closet, pulled out my suitcases, and began frantically packing my clothes. When I dragged my bags toward the front door, she practically crawled off the couch, sobbing and pleading with me. She begged me not to leave her alone while she was so sick. She kept crying out that she couldn't take care of herself, that her body ached, and that she needed her husband. I couldn't even look at her. I walked out the door, got into my car, and drove away. Since I left, my phone has been blowing up non-stop with texts and voicemails from her. She keeps crying about how horribly sick she is, saying her fever is high and she can barely get out of bed to fix herself food. I texted her back coldly, telling her that if she was truly doing that poorly, she should go to the doctor, call an ambulance, or reach out to someone else for help. She messaged back saying she isn't dying, but that she specifically needs me there to nurse her back to health. Then came the real reason she was panicking. She confessed that she couldn't bring herself to call our adult children or any other family members to come help her because they would immediately ask why I wasn't there taking care of her. She went on to blame everything on her health, typing out long essays claiming that menopause had made her completely crazy, that she wasn't in her right mind, and swearing up and down that she would never see Zachary again. I haven't gone back. I'm staying somewhere else, utterly heartbroken, exhausted, and feeling like the last 32 years of my life were a lie. But sitting here alone, listening to her phone calls, a small part of me wonders if I'm being heartless by abandoning a sick person. Am I the asshole for refusing to go back and nurse her through the illness she caught while cheating on me? Edit. As soon as I initially found the messages in the hotel room, My immediate gut reaction was to tell Zach's wife. I wanted to wait and tell her face to face, and I desperately wanted to spare our adult children from learning about this disgusting situation if I could help it. But after reading through things and processing the reality of the situation, I realized a terrifying truth. If I kept silent, Victoria could easily spin the narrative, lie to our children, and make me out to be the bad guy who walked out on a sick wife for no reason. So, I picked up my phone and called Zach's wife first. I don't know the deep inner workings of their marriage, but to my surprise, she believed me right away without an ounce of hesitation. Next, I set up a conference call with all 4 of my adult kids. Hearing their voices all at once while preparing to shatter their perception of our family was the hardest thing I've ever had to do. I had to, unfortunately, send a few screenshots as proof to their phones during the call. I didn't go overboard or send anything explicit, just enough concrete evidence so they knew I wasn't making this up. It was agonizing. They were all completely devastated and upset. I tried my absolute best to keep my voice steady and hold myself together, because as angry as I am, I refuse to use my children as emotional dumping grounds or vent to them about their mother. Second edit. Zach's wife has been messaging me back and forth last night and this morning. She revealed to me that she was actually already planning on leaving Zachary anyway because she had recently discovered he was sleeping with 2 other women. However, finding out that Victoria, a married woman who was treated like a family member, was involved completely destroyed any remaining patience she had. It sped the whole process up drastically. She confronted Zachary immediately and kicked him out of the house. Additionally, all 4 of my kids have called their mother directly. None of them are buying any of her excuses, nor are they accepting her attempts to blame her actions on menopause. They are disgusted by what she did to our family, and every single one of my children has explicitly told me that they want me to file for divorce immediately. Update. The answer was obvious, but I needed other people to tell me, so I didn't stupidly go back to my wife. Thank you for those who commented on the first post. I had made 2 edits on the first post, explained some stuff that happened after I posted. To just briefly touch on those edits, Zach's wife and my adult kids know that my wife Victoria had an affair with Zachary. Zach's wife kicked him out of their house. All kids are on my side and they want us to divorce. The last few days have been a whirlwind. My phone hasn't stopped ringing because family members have slowly started finding out that Victoria and I are separating. I haven't gone into the details with most of them because this is still the mother of my children, and I don't want to turn it into a public spectacle. My kids have handled a lot of those conversations themselves, and they've made it clear that they know exactly what happened. That has made it much harder for Victoria to rewrite the story or downplay what she did. I talked to a friend who's a major divorce attorney for the 3rd time. I've given her a lot of the evidence so she can decide what we can use. She did say that I should be careful with what I say online, especially since I used Victoria's and Zachary's real names. Our kids, especially our eldest daughter, are pressuring their mom to make this a quick and easy divorce. My attorney also reminded me that the less drama I create publicly, the easier it will be to focus on the legal process instead of unnecessary distractions. Victoria has continued reaching out, but the conversations haven't really gone anywhere. She isn't denying the affair happened anymore. Instead, every conversation circles back to why it happened or why I should be able to move past it. None of those explanations change the fact that she made repeated choices over time. This wasn't one terrible mistake that lasted a few minutes. It was an ongoing affair that continued even after Zachary warned her he thought he was getting sick. A lot of people who commented said I was being too nice to my cheating wife. I'll show some pettiness by letting everyone here mock all the excuses and minimizations she made for her cheating. Menopause made her crazy. She felt fat and ugly. She felt like she didn't deserve me. Zachary came on to her first. She wanted to make sure a man can be attracted to her without him being obligated to because she's the mother of his children. She had horizontal tango with Zachary to make sure she can still have horizontal tango. Zachary didn't mean anything to her. I'm overreacting because Zachary is a family friend and not a family member. Zach's wife isn't like a daughter to us. She didn't betray a woman that's like a daughter to us. Other husbands have forgave their wives when the wives cheat. If I had horizontal tango with a younger woman during a midlife crisis, she would have forgave me. We have 4 kids. We've been together for so long. I promise to love her in sickness and in health.
Thank you for visiting More Tales.